whether I was learning jujitsu or fighting, you experience these highs and you experience these lows, and it's super important to like remember what you're doing it for, having purpose, having meaning. Also understanding that Bitcoin's still like a new asset. It's like a teenager, right? And like, we all went through a lot of crazy changes going through our teens, and I think there's still a lot of room for growth. So delayed gratification can be a superpower.
We're here with Kenny Florian. How are you?
I'm well, how are you?
I'm good. It's good to see you here.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
You have like a very interesting story because you fought in 4 weight classes in the UFC.
Yeah.
First of all, hook it up with like the diet tips. How do you like fluctuate your weight that much?
See, that saying I fought in 4 weight classes is a kind way of saying I was very dumb. I don't know. No. I fought in 4 different weight classes, but like some of it was like forced because they didn't have certain weight class at the time. But like, yeah, like I fought all the way at 185 pounds, then I had to go all the way down to 145 pounds. So not the healthiest way. I can give you tips of how to lose weight, but not the healthiest way. Like I had to like dehydrate a bunch of, water and crazy times. Yeah.
Crazy times.
Yeah.
Which is super interesting because you're one of the only 2 fighters who's ever done that. And somewhere along the way, you fell down the Bitcoin rabbit hole. So we gotta know, like, who did that to you? Like,
Gosh.
Who pushed you down the rabbit hole? How was that process for you? Like, what was that moment that it clicked?
I wish I invested in Bitcoin when I was still fighting. So I retired in 2011. So just a couple years, after Bitcoin was out in the wild. So I didn't start until after I retired. But I knew about it a couple years before, like maybe 2015, maybe something like that. I remember specifically the conversation. It was a friend of mine in Los Angeles. He's like, dude, you have to hear, there's this thing called Bitcoin. You got to learn about it. It just went down to like $70. You should buy it. And I was like, oh, okay, like I'll do it. And I dragged my feet, of course. And like in my head, I was like, well, the government's going to shut this down. It's not going to be a real thing. And so it wasn't until a couple years later that I bought some, and then like, I went to check the price like maybe like a few weeks later or a month later. I was like, wait a sec, I didn't buy that much Bitcoin. Like, well, that doesn't make sense. Like that's how much. Then I was like, oh, it went up. It went up a lot. Like, wow, that's crazy. And then I bought a little more and then started educating myself more about it. And like, I tend to like dive headfirst into things, instead of like, but it's been an amazing journey of like, the ups and downs, of course, similar to fighting. And it's been awesome, learning about it, being more educated about it, and like seeing it as a really powerful tool in a lot of different ways.
Well, I think in a way you were lucky though that you got into it after you left your career in the UFC, because most athletes, they get told by like financial advisors like, don't buy Bitcoin, it's bad.
Yeah,
like
totally.
Did they ever tell you that? Like, how is that in the athletic space?
Yeah, no, great question. So I've always kind of been like the black sheep of my family. Like, they all expected me. I went to college. They expected me to like go to law school. My dad is a doctor, and he was like, yeah, you're going to go be like a normal person. And I was like, I don't know about that. So I ended up like going to martial arts, and they're like, you're not going to make any money. What are you doing? Are you crazy? So I always kind of did things a little differently. So anytime someone told me I was like crazy or dumb, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go that much harder. So I obviously realized retirement was really important, obviously, as a fighter and later as a broadcaster. I didn't know how long I would be doing those things. And, I saw the potential, and I always thought about like, you have to get into things early, like before other people see it. So first it was like a conservative allocation, and then it became more aggressive over time as I gained more conviction,
What made you build that conviction? Like, or what was that thing that made it click for you?
Yeah, well, when I got into it, there wasn't a whole lot of great information out there. There was like, I would like approach them like, okay, let me learn about this thing. And like kind of the technical aspects was a little bit over my head. But over time, I think just listening to podcasts, being educated by people much smarter than me and learning about it, really understanding it as a multifaceted tool, not just like, hey, here's this asset that goes up. It was, kind of like a Swiss Army knife, in a lot of ways. It's like, it gives you more freedom. There's a ton of potential. You can travel with it. You can leave it to your family after you're gone. So that was really interesting to me. And again, as like a fighter who was always kind of being aware of how you can be attacked and how people can like beat you, it was very, very interesting. So yeah.
Speaking of fighting, if you could fight one person at this conference, like any Bitcoiner, any speaker,
Oh my
anyone,
God.
who would it be and why?
You're putting me on the spot here, man. I don't know. I don't have any beef with anybody. I'm cool with everybody right now. We'll see. Maybe at the end of the weekend, if you ask me again, maybe there's a problem. Peace and love, man.
Peace and love now.
Yeah.
Enough fighting.
Yeah, exactly.
You fought for so many years. So you've been in a room with fighters, commentators, and now Bitcoiners.
Yes.
Be honest, what group has the biggest ego?
Ooh. Again, I think probably fighters.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. Well, there's some like cocky guys. Like, it's funny because I always felt pretty humble because like when you get your butt kicked in the gym or you get your butt kicked in a fight, you're like, listen, anyone can beat anybody. Like, you have to be humble. Like, but I think fighters, because maybe of what they do and because they've been like cheered on by huge crowds and maybe they're making money, maybe they're not, I don't know. Some of those guys get addicted to the fame and the money and the limelight and stuff like that. So I guess I'll say fighters.
Fire.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. And between the podcasts, UFC commentary, PFL, battle bots, you reach a massive audience that most Bitcoin people never touch. What happens when you drop a Bitcoin reference in that room?
Yeah, so it's interesting because still you realize how early it is. Like, a lot of people aren't so educated about it, but in some cases, like, a lot of people want to know more. So I've had the opportunity to like orange pill a lot of fighters, a lot of broadcasters, a lot of people who are, I guess in my circle. So that's been cool. I feel like my family's been the most difficult to like convince, but like, being around them, I try to help them out and, kind of use myself as an example and, at least get them to consider it as an option. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, I feel like you did. Okay. Like you got the opportunity to like orange pill people and like they want to know more.
Yeah.
But like the hardest people to orange pill is your family.
Yeah, and I think also like sometimes it opens up a discussion, like a healthy discussion, because some people disagree. And then you kind of hash it out a little bit and it gets them at least to like consider it. Whereas before it's like, no, it's a scam or whatever, where they just kind of consume whatever mainstream media says or what their friends said or what their financial advisor said. And, I hope that they consider me someone who's trustworthy and, yeah.
I think the key word you mentioned was like healthy discussion.
Yeah.
Nowadays, people don't even want to do that. It's like,
yes,
you don't have to agree on everything,
right.
But here are my points. What's your argument? Like, let's see the agreement. And that's unheard of.
Well, for sure, that's the hope. I think we've become so polarized, whether it's like way left or way right or, extreme on both sides. And a lot of times we don't even want to hear the other side. And I think it's important to have these discussions. Like, I'm old now, I'm going to be 50 later this year. So like, there was a time when I was growing up where it was like, it was okay to have certain like beliefs and you could talk about it and it was totally normal, where now it's like, there's this vicious kind of discussions. So I think it's important to have these healthy discussions. So yeah,
it's important. It's like they tell us from such a young age, don't talk about politics, religion, money. And it's like, then what are you going to talk about?
Right, and it checks your own convictions too, right? So so anyways, yeah.
I love that. Bitcoin rewards the same thing that fighting does, patience. Conviction, ignoring the noise, being laser focused. When the market is falling apart and everyone is panicking, where do you draw your conviction from?
Yeah, so I guess I'm pretty used to that because, whether I was learning jiu-jitsu or fighting, you experience these highs and you experience these lows, and it's super important to like, remember what you're doing it for, like having purpose, having meaning. I think education's a big part of it. I think faith is a big part of it. Faith in yourself, faith in God. I think those are really important things. Like also understanding that Bitcoin's still like a new asset. It's like a teenager, right? And like, we all went through a lot of crazy changes going through our teens, and I think there's still a lot of room for growth. So delayed gratification can be a superpower. Understanding that like those things that you're putting in, whether you're investing in yourself or your workouts or skill building, it may not pay off now, it may not pay off tomorrow, but maybe in a few months, in a couple of years. Like I've seen things of how they come together, and I feel like the best learning, the biggest culminations, the biggest levels that you achieve happen longer over time. Like anytime you achieve something really quickly, there's usually something that is lost in that process. But like slow growth, I feel like is always the best growth. You just have to be patient and understand that process, I think.
Yeah. Even though like social media is teaching us the wrong thing, you know what I mean? Like
exactly.
Instant gratification, you do something, you gotta get rewarded automatically.
100%.
So now we're gonna do like this fireside question.
Okay, all right.
All right. What is your hottest Bitcoin take? And give me one that might get you in trouble.
Gosh, I don't know if it's the hottest take, but Bitcoin was created for everybody. And obviously there's the saying, Bitcoin is for your enemies. But yeah, like people get very upset about whether it's government officials or, other people getting into the space that you may not agree with. But it's like, man, that's what it was built for. It was literally built for anyone. If it was restricted, then it wouldn't be Bitcoin. So I think that it's important you may not like it, but I think that's what gives it its power. It's like our enemies may have it, a rival country may have it, your person who does not like you may have it, but that's kind of the benefit. There shouldn't be any restrictions to your ability to get the best money possible. So people get so worked up over people controlling it or doing this or doing that. And I just don't think that's the case. Either Bitcoin is what it is or it's not. And I believe it to be a very powerful tool that anybody has access to, an open and decentralized ledger. And people sometimes get like, overzealous or just worked up over who has it or who's buying it or who's controlling it. And anyways.
No, you're saying all the right things.
Okay.
I'm like, keep going.
Yeah.
So Bitcoin hits $1 million. What's the first thing that you do?
I tell everybody, I told you so. I told you.
Call up your parents, be like,
exactly.
Who was the black sheep?
What's up now?
Yeah.
Exactly.
What's the most wrong you've ever been about Bitcoin?
Well, I mean, it would be my early takes on Bitcoin. That's like the government's going to shut it down. There's no way this is going to work. It's going to go to zero. My early takes on it. Because they were ignorant. I didn't educate myself on it. So, I was just like everybody else out there.
If you could orange pill one person on earth, who would it be and why?
I guess it would be like my loved ones, my family, my parents. I feel like they've been the hardest to orange pill. And maybe it's because, like they have their retirement set up and they're thinking more conservatively or whatever, but like it's been going on for years and I just haven't been able to do it. My brother, I haven't been able to do it. My sister, I got her, so that's good. But yeah, it's like sometimes the people that you're closest to are the people that kind of don't want to whether they see me still as the little kid or
that's
something,
the thing.
How is this little kid gonna tell me what to do? I'm the parents.
That's super true. I feel like that's what happens with everyone's family. Like they don't view you, like how could you know better?
Yeah.
Like you're not gonna know more than me.
Yeah.
I think that's what happens a lot. But the thing is like the more they do research about how broken the system is.
Right.
And the fundamentals that it was built upon, you're like, why? Just have like a little bit. Like I'm not telling you like
100%.
Go batshit crazy like me, but like have a little bit.
I couldn't agree more, and I think that's a lot part. It's like people don't know what's broken, and it's similar to, I guess I'll relate it to fighting, where it's like that guy who's like, I'd kick that guy's butt, like people who are getting out of their cars and are like, are gonna fight? It's like, bro, you don't know how to fight. What are you doing? Like you don't know how vulnerable you are. But it's the same thing with people who have money or don't have money or whatever. It's like you don't realize how vulnerable you are. You don't realize that the system is actually broken and that the situation that we're in is because of this. So anyways, it's ignorance, So
ignorance.
Yeah.
It's like a double-edged sword because I feel like sometimes ignorance is bliss, and I like now
Right.
that we know, it's kind of like you're on this stress level.
I
all
wish
the
I
time.
knew less,
Yeah.
not that I know everything at all, but I wish I knew less, Yeah.
It's like the more you know, but it's like you have to know
I
to
know.
protect yourself.
Exactly.
Okay, so now give me a Bitcoin prediction for 2027, the one that you would bet real money on.
Yeah. I tend to be more of an optimist, but I guess, we could talk about the price. I think we're going to finally surpass 200,000 in 2027. I really do. I think that things are just taking off, with everything that's going on in the financial world and how Bitcoin, I think, is being more and more accepted. I wouldn't be surprised if we're well above that number. I've been pretty accurate the last couple of years. I think we're moving slower than I think a lot of people thought, but I think now's the right time. I think we're at a good spot.
And now you have 60 seconds to convince a complete skeptic.
Yes.
Ready? 3,
Oh my gosh.
2, 1, go.
Okay, I think Bitcoin is the most powerful financial tool you can have and invest in. If you are buying Bitcoin and holding your own wallet and securing it in the proper ways, I think it gives you way more advantages than any other financial asset out there. It's one of the only and few financial tools that gives you true financial freedom, freedom that you could travel with wherever, in a world where I think privacy is being compromised, where certain regulations, legal or otherwise, are kind of restricting us more and more and more. I think it's the power of Bitcoin that allows you to, go where you want to go, send money where you want to go, where you want to send it, save it without it being inflated away. So it adds protection, it adds sovereignty, and I don't think there's any other financial asset that is as multifaceted and as diverse as Bitcoin.
Exactly 60 seconds.
Really? Right
Yeah.
on the spot. Look, you see
That
that?
was good.
I didn't even practice.
Candy, any last words, whether it's Bitcoin, MMA, or something you're working on right now that you want people to know?
Let's see. No, just want to thank the Bitcoin community. I've learned so much, going to these conferences, meeting amazing people that have, helped and contributed to my life so much. So it's great to be a part of it, and hopefully I'm able to contribute in some small way. And great talking to you. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kenny.